Hey, my beautiful family. Hope all is well with everyone. I got so much to talk about, but today, in this particular time, I want to talk about female and male relationships, right? And that's going to go across the board. That's daddy, daughter, husband, wife, you know, sister, brother. And I want to talk about the importance of it because that's all I'm about. I am definitely trying to get us to understand the bonds of family and relationships. And even outside of your blood relatives, you know, our culture, our people. We need to love one another more, and we're not doing that. I mean, we just so scattered and all over the place. And a lot of our ties are broken over petty things, and it just bothers me, you know, because none of us are perfect. We're all struggling with something at some point in our lives, and we get rid of one another for things like that. Some of us are extremely toxic and dangerous, so yeah, sometimes you have to cut cords because you just can't live like that amongst people who really don't have their own best interests in mind. So let alone they're not going to care about you or what your interests are and what your safety level, you know, your safety level. Anyway, I want to first talk about one of my first relationships, which was with my dad, right? Daddy is the first man that you come into contact with, unless you have siblings in the house. But I was the firstborn. I was numero uno, yes. So my dad named me. My name is Kenya Marie Jackson. That's what's on my birth certificate. So my dad gave me my name. He always bragged about that. My mom used to tease me and say, I was going to name you Sally Sue. So I said, Ma, no you weren't, because I was definitely going to change my name. Could you imagine going to school Sally Sue Jackson? I'm so sorry if somebody out there is named Sally Sue Jackson, but it just seemed odd for a little black girl in the hood to have such a name. Not that I needed to have a hood-like name, because I happen to love my name. Kenya, I love it. But in any event, my dad would always brag about, I gave you that name, Kenya Marie. He would say it that way. But anyway, those ties with your dad is so crucial. You know, my daddy, that's my daddy, my papa. You know, when you're a little girl, when your father comes in the house, you run to him like, Daddy, Daddy. We love our papas, don't we? And so how we view them is going to be how we view men. They're our first relationship, you know, with the opposite sex. It's not sexual, it's your dad, but it's still a relationship. It's a rapport, right? So however your dad treats you, you're going to expect that type of treatment from men or not, depending on how your mom groomed you and the wisdom you take in as you're getting older and you see things and you view things that are wrong, and you know the difference between wrong and right. It depends on your personality, because a lot of us are repeaters, you know, of the curse. We are repeaters of the curse. However we saw a relationship is what we end up having, because we think it's normal, because that's what we grew up seeing, right? So it's crucial that dads show us what it is that we need to have and what we need to expect from a man, and that what we need to demand of ourselves and a man when we're in a relationship. And when a father doesn't do it, it kind of sets you off on the wrong course. So my dad was my first relationship, my view of a first relationship with, my experience rather, with a man. And then as I was growing up, when I came into puberty, I wanted to talk about that because I had promised you guys I was going to talk about that in another video. It's getting hot. I'm going to have to turn on this car. Can't do it. Ooh, the menopause. But let's continue. Let me close up these windows. I thought it was going to be a breeze. There's no breeze today, family. None. All right. Let's close out some of the noise and get this AC pumping. What I wanted to discuss with y'all was how we established our bonds with men early on, right? Let me take these off as well. It's just sad to me that, first of all, my dad used to have a lot of friends, right? He had a lot of friends. I told y'all in another video, my papa knew everybody. But he had a core group of friends that used to come by a lot. And when you're a little girl, you enjoy the company of men. especially men that give you attention. My dad used to have me in the living room singing for his friends and stuff. We were like entertainment for his friends. But my mom, she was very wise and cautious. She was watching me because I'm a young lady. I'm a little girl, rather. I was a little girl. That was way before puberty, but I'm a girl. So you have to be careful with your little girls. And they used to come over and they would be drinking and stuff. And my mother would always say, don't let them kiss you in your face. Don't let them kiss you. She said, you're a princess. You give them your hand. So if they want to give you a kiss, let them kiss your hand. So, and they would do that. They would kiss my hand. And I thought it was so cute. You know, you're a little girl. These are your first bonds with men, you know. So they made me feel special, you know, treating me that way. Bending down, a big old grown man bending down and taking your hand in his and just kissing the back of your hand to greet you. I thought it was cute, and I thought it was a good idea that my mom taught me that. No sitting on the lap. No lap sitting. Mama didn't have that. And when she thought I was around them enough, she would come in there and go, in your room. That was my mama, right? So in any event, my experiences with these men, I enjoyed my father's friends. I thought they were funny because I was a little girl. And sometimes they'd be clowning around because they had been drinking or whatever. And so, you know, you're tickled when you see a big grown man doing foolish things, you know. And I look back now, I'm just like, oh, my Lord, they were out there. But at that time, when you're a little girl, I had my favorites. Dancing with them and doing the hustle and stuff. My dad putting on all this old school music and back in the day, and just in the living room having a good time. Me and my brother. My brother used to be in there with us as well. My brother Butch. We call him Butch. And sometimes I used to have my brother learn dance routines, and we would entertain them like that as well. Yes, we were entertainment for my father's friends. But that gave me an opportunity to bond with men, you know? And so that was that type of bonding, that type of understanding of men. I never felt disrespected by them. I was a little child. I didn't know what any of that was. I just remember that none of them ever touched me in any way that was inappropriate or said anything out of line or made me feel uncomfortable. I felt adored around them, to tell you the truth. I felt adored, and that was fine. It wasn't until later on when my dad and mom broke up and my mother moved out, and we moved to Lincoln Place in Brooklyn. It was a nice little brownstone 2-family house, and we were on the top floor. Around that time, I began to grow up and develop. I got taller. Stuff started sprouting. I was pretty slim, but stuff started sprouting on my body. And I remember going to school that year. When the school year started, I was 12. I'm trying to remember because sometimes I forget the dates. I know I was 12 because it was after puberty. And it's like I went to school with a book bag and I had a baby face. And I'm walking to school, and the same attention that my mother got, I started to get. And I didn't like it at all. I already made a video about it. I never liked that attention. Firstly, I didn't like it at that time because I thought it felt weird. It felt bad to me that adult men were looking at me like I was a piece of meat. They were looking at me. I saw a look in their eye that was unholy, an unholy look, okay? And I didn't like it because it made you feel unsafe as a little girl. Now, that safety net that I told you about that I had with my father's friends, it was a whole different world when you're walking down the street and your womanhood is like, hello to the men. All they see is that you are a woman. They don't see that you're a young girl. They see a woman. So now they're coming at me and approaching me as such. I didn't like it. First of all, I'm uncomfortable. I don't know what to say. I'm disgusted. I'm scared. I'm nervous. I'm annoyed. I felt all these negative emotions in reference to that. I just didn't like it. I didn't like it when they were doing it to my mom. My brothers and I, we were funny. We used to walk behind my mother to block their view of her backside. Anybody else did that? Has anybody else ever done that? We used to try to block the view so the men couldn't see her because it was ridiculous. We couldn't go anywhere. I remember every time we went out with my mama, the men were hawking, okay? And now here I am, not even a teenager. I'm getting the same attention that men were giving my mother. So that made me feel so uncomfortable. And I remember when I came home from school and I told my mother, I said, Ma, she was like, how was school? You know, she want to talk about what happened at school. I'm talking about what happened walking down the street, coming from and going to school. It was ridiculous. That was fastball.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I'm making a video. So you're going to get the results later?
Yeah, Monday.
Oh, it takes that long? Yeah. You want to drive? You said you was going to drive back.
I'll do it. Okay. It's a CD of mine, but I don't know how I'm going to see it.
Of what?
My neck.
Oh,
she
right.
gave it to me, but I don't know.
Oh, this will be good in the future, like if you go to another doctor or another, so they can view it. Okay, I'm moving over. It got too hot. I'm sorry, y'all. Break time. We got to switch. Look at that handsome man. Look at him. That's my boo, y'all. I'm so glad he's still here because it could have turned out differently. And God is healing him quickly. So I praise the Most High God. Let's get on our belts and get on the road. Okay. Y'all hold on. Give me a minute.
I had to go back to the house with my license.
Oh, so you don't have it on you? Well, I hope it's in there somewhere where you can get to it. Oh, should you be...
I gotta go back home. I'm on my way home. I don't have the license.
Babe, we might have to switch.
What's his word?
You need it. You don't have it.
Oh.
Okay, family, switcheroo. Because we doing things the righteous way. We ain't got time for no trouble. Okay, back to the story. Let me just get back to it because I'm just thrown off course. So I was not happy about the way men were looking at me and approaching me and saying these things to me and looking at me like I was a piece of meat. It was traumatic. But when I went home to tell my mom, my mother is funny. She is so funny. She was like, girl, what you mean the old men? Old like what? I said, they was like around your age. She said, you better watch your mouth. Baby stuff on in the background. So she said to me, you know, to make light of it, because she understood that was it for the rest of my life, or as long as I remained attractive to any man, that was going to be my plight. So she was like, girl, you're going to have to get over it, you know. She said, just ignore them or whatever. And I had witnessed her doing that. She used to ignore them, put her headphones on. We had Walkman back then when I was a teenager, a preteen or whatever. We had Walkman. My mother would put them on her ears to try to drown the men out, to ignore them or whatever. But it was just not a great thing for me. I didn't like it. And it put a bad taste in my mouth toward men in general. I always thought all men were perverts. And it's sad. I remember before, the men on the street would say things to me and, hey baby and sweetheart, calling me all these little endearments. But they didn't mean it as if, father to daughter. They meant it as, something sexual. And how they would look down at my private area or my backside or whatever. Just, it was just annoying. It was really annoying. But before that even started, I remember sitting on that same stoop, waiting for my mom one day. We were going out. And I had gotten dressed before my mother and my brothers. And I said, Ma, can I go sit on the stoop? And she said, okay. And it probably was like a year before, or maybe that same summer of when school started, that I was sitting on the stoop alone, waiting for my family to get ready so we can go out. And I'm sitting there, and I saw a car pull up, but I ain't paying him no mind. I'm a little girl just looking around. And as I took notice, this gentleman, I always call everybody a gentleman. I try to be nice and call people lady. And they don't deserve those titles sometimes, But this perverted guy, grown man, he decided to pull his personal parts out. So as I'm sitting there, some door is open. I guess, yes, it was. As I'm sitting there, I look over at him. As soon as I saw it, I screamed. I'm like, Ma! Of course, he sits down in the seat, do what he does, and goes off, runs off. So I'm like, this is ridiculous. My mother was like, what's wrong with you? Because I scared her to death.
That was great.
Alright, let me see if I can get in. Big old truck and stuff. I don't like this. Can I go this way and find another way to come out? Because I don't want to come out like this.
Make a U-turn.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah.
I'm scared. I don't like it. I'm not the professional as you, Mr. Truck Driver, sir. So my mom got annoyed. She was like, what happened? So I told her what happened. She was like, bring your butt upstairs and just sit up here with me. But it's disgusting that I have to experience stuff like that as a young girl. And so many of us have experienced that and worse. And this is what I want to talk about. This affects the relationship between male and female. We have a view about men so early that's negative. It's a poor view. And especially a lot of us don't have a great example from our dads. And even the men in our families, when you look at all the men, your uncles, your brothers, your cousins, it seems as though everybody is doing these negative things. And then people just say, oh, that's just how men are. Well, I don't like that. I want us to do different. I would love for my granddaughter who's coming up to see more positive men, more men who are righteous, more men who are respectful, who have morals, who are not the norm, you know, like these guys just going around. Everybody is just pursuing women for sexual gratification. Is that the only thing that we can do for you men? Is satisfy you in bed?
U-turn right here.
Is that the only thing that we're useful for? Because women need to know that there's more. And I believe that affects how we carry ourselves. Because now we feeling like, okay, the only way I can get his attention is if I turn him on, you know? And a lot of women are doing that, doing things to their bodies, putting on all these things to allure, to get men to pay them attention, because we understand that what we look like gets attention. And then when you're not getting enough of that at home from your dad, you're doing crazy things to get it. You're out here enticing men so that somebody can tell you that you're beautiful, so that somebody can tell you that you look good. Because I guess for some of us, some attention is better than none. But honey, I hated it. I didn't like it at all. And then one day when I was older, I was like 14, my dad told me to come and meet him. Well, he came to meet me because we were staying at my grandmother's house at this time. And he was like, I'm going to come and see you, girl. So he said, guess who I got? Guess who I got with me? And he had a friend. Used to call him Dirty Red because he was light skinned with freckles and that blondish reddish colored hair, so they all called him Dirty Red. Now Dirty Red was one of my favorites that I talked about earlier that my father had as a friend. He was one of my faves, and I loved me some Dirty Red. His name was Mike. God rest his soul, because he's no longer with us. He had passed away so long ago, but I hadn't seen him since my mom and dad had split up, and that must have been when I was like 10, so he hadn't seen me since I grew up. So when he saw me, my Lord, I was so happy to see him. You know, my mother taught me not to be so huggy, touchy, feely with men, so I didn't just like run into his arms or anything, because I was aware of my womanhood. My mother made me aware of that, so I didn't just go running into his arms. That wasn't what I did, but I was happy to see him. I'm like, hey, Mike. He said, hey, girl, look at you. It was like such an exciting moment until he circles me like I'm the prey. My dad is standing right there. I was so angry with my father. He was like in a pizza shop or something. I think my dad was on the counter getting his pizza or whatever. But the way he circled me and like, look at you. Okay, look at me is one thing, because I grew up, you know, I'm taller, I sprouted. But it was the way he did it. I saw the same thing in his eye that I saw in all those men on the street. And that hurt my feelings, because the little girl in me, I still liked and loved him. And I'm like, he's like a dad or uncle to me. And for him to now look at me like that just breaks your spirit. And it's just sickening. I just want to say this. I want to share this because I don't think I've heard many people discuss this. It's so important, the bonds between men and women. And it sets the tone for your relationships later on. You know, it's like I still had high expectations of meeting this wonderful guy. That was something that I just carried in my heart. But it made me feel like, is this person in existence? Like when you see mainly most of the guys that you know behaving like animals, what's the hope of getting somebody who got it together? who can control himself. What you think in your mind is your business between you and God, because we ain't gonna see each other and not be attracted. That's a given. But how you carry yourself and what you say and what you do, your mind, whatever's in your mind, is so obvious because of the way you're behaving. Like a, hound dog or something. It's like, what is the problem? Like, so it's so important. It's very important. I used to like to talk to my cousin and my brother. Those were some exciting conversations. And they would ask me questions like, well, how come when you're walking down the street and you say hi to a girl, why y'all don't speak? I had to explain to them. I said, listen, y'all gotta be fair. When you are a fairly decent looking young lady and you're walking down the street, you're gonna get attention from all types of men. Young, old, ugly, small, big, beautiful. I don't care what they look like, they're men and they have eyes. So you're going to be attracting men wherever you go. And you're starting out saying hello, but after a while, come on, you get tired. Because once you say hi, they're going to say, oh, can I get your number? Oh, let's talk. Oh, you got a man. You don't want to do that all day. You get tired. Who got time to be talking to everybody who's trying to... No, baby, right? No. Nobody has the patience. You get tired and you get frustrated, and then you have some guys cursing young ladies out for not speaking to them. Like, the experience with the opposite sex is very bad. And I want you fellas to hear this. I want you to hear it, because it's not right. Y'all can have daughters and sisters and moms and aunts, grandmas. Even some of y'all got some good looking grandmamas. And men have eyes and they see what they like, and the way you approach it matters. It's like, only thing I am to you is a piece of meat, something to sleep with and discard like a piece of tissue. Is that all women are to men? And even little girls, you're looking at little girls like that. It brings about a thought process that's negative in young ladies. Like, you just don't see men as something beautiful, and they are. We want our kings to act kingly. Like I say, we always talking about king and queen. Am I turning or going straight? Okay. King and queen. I think we need to go to the dictionary and look up that word. What is royalty? What does that mean? It's a behavior. It's a way of life, isn't it? It's a way of life, and it's certainly not the degrading, debased lifestyle that we see coming up in the hood, how people treat one another. And like I said, when women see a young girl who doesn't have what she needs from her dad, or has her dad at all, or has been molested, and now you're thinking that's all I am is just something for somebody to satisfy themselves with. Some women end up going with the flow. Okay, this is what life is about. Okay, this is what they want, just for attention, just for a moment of being recognized. And it's really sad. I want us to fix our bonds, fix our relationships and our ties with one another. I really do. It's not going to happen, because we know the world that we're living in is coming to an end and it's getting worse. But for those of you who are listening to me and listening to something that maybe you've never heard before, I'm hoping that I can help. I really am, because I want you to see our view. I would love for a gentleman to get on and talk about his view about women. Maybe that could be you, boo. About how you view women since you were a little boy, and what you thought of them, and what you saw around you, the women in your family and stuff like that. Because we're shaped as children to believe certain things by what we see and what we experience in our homes and in our lives, our everyday lives. Even at school, we used to go to school and we would be in a crowd, and I remember it would be a bunch of us, and we were all waiting to get inside the school, and one of the guys in the crowd would just reach out and just squeeze your butt. I hated disrespect. I hated it. But I've had that happen to me, and several of my friends did also. Why did you think it's okay to reach out in a crowd and just touch a woman like that? I'm not presenting myself like that. I'm not. But this is how I was treated, And then they think it's funny. They think it's funny. And I remember the first time a little boy touched me inappropriately. It was two little boys. We were in the 5th grade. I'll never forget those boys. I could not stand them. Gerald and Lawrence. I'm calling y'all out. I don't know where y'all are today and what y'all doing today, but I'm calling y'all out. I remember being in the 5th grade, and the teacher had us on a line because we were going to get water and to use the bathroom. And she put us in the hallway, but she went back in the classroom to do something. So these 2 little bad boys decided that they're going to go down the line of girls and just squeeze everybody's butt. For the most part, most of the girls were giggling or whatever, but not Kenya, aka Lady Missy. My aunts gave me that name. Let me tell you, I cried, and they was like, stop crying. I cried my eyes out. I never was touched like that before until then, and I didn't appreciate it. And you had some little girls in the class that was fresh who liked it, and I would see them touch them before, and other times touching their breasts and all that stuff, and I'm just like, wow, they just touching them like that. And I was scared inside, nervous, because I'm like, I hope they don't touch me like that. And then that day they went down the whole line of girls and squeezed everybody's butts, the 2 boys. But this girl here started crying. I cried. Went home and told my mother too. I was too embarrassed to tell the teacher. I don't know why, but that's the thing too, that feeling of like shame that like I did something wrong. I didn't tell the teacher, but I was really close with my mom, and she established a bond with me, whereas I would tell her I can tell her anything, and I felt safe with my mom. So I went home and I told her. She was like, what? See, now back then that was in the 70s, so you know, teachers would allow parents to beat their kids in the school. Because I do have to say, those boys had decent mamas, because honey, my mama went to that school and talked to the principal. The principal spoke to the teacher. Those parents were contacted. And look at what I'm saying, mamas. A lot of these homes, no daddy. That's that bond again, that the relationship between female and male again, absent dads. Because the mothers came up to the school and whipped them boys in front of the class. It embarrassed them. Yup, they got it good. And I'm sitting there gloating. I'm like, yeah, beat their butts, tear them up. Them boys ain't bother me no more. But I mean, I was the only girl who complained, who said something, and something got done about it. But they left me alone for the rest of the school year. They left me alone because I was in school with them for another couple of years. They didn't bother me and say anything to me ever again. They didn't mess with me anymore. But it's just sad that you have to experience stuff like that. It's really bad. I know for a fact, I know for a fact that parents need to start discussing things with children young, because we're sexual beings, and you start to experience things or feel stuff, tingly things when you're young, because the God made us that way. There's nothing wrong with it. You need to talk to your children though. Children need to be spoken to about it and say, you know, be able to say, Ma, I feel this way, or Daddy, I feel this way. And I know it's uncomfortable, and a lot of parents don't make it comfortable for their children. And we are uncomfortable when our child is maybe 6 and they're experiencing little feelings, and they telling us, oh, mommy, this feels tingly. You be like, oh, Lord, I don't even want to talk about it. You don't even think about your child as a sexual being. But we're going to have to put on our big girl panties and big men underwear and start discussing things with our children very young, because they need to know that they have to respect themselves and respect others. And it starts at a young age, because a lot of times when we go to school, we are forced into peer pressure. People are pressuring you to do stuff. Come on, man, let's do this. And little boys are silly. You're young. They don't know no better. Little girls too. And you just follow suit. And you run around here doing things that are not right. Touching people's body parts and embarrassing them and thinking it's okay. And then things go further. By the time I grew up and got out of school and started to work, I worked in a school. I'm hearing all kinds of things. Even when I was going to high school, there was a young lady who got caught doing something sexual with a boy on a staircase. And it's like, these things just happen in school. People do it anywhere, outside, in the park. You need to talk to your children. And I'm tired of it being a double standard where women are talked to. Because a lot of times, I guess we are saying our daughters can get pregnant. They're going to be the ones bringing the baby in the house, because most of the time the girl is the one responsible for the child if she's pregnant, and the boy is going home to his mama, and whether he's going to be a part of the child's life or not is going to be up to him. So most of the time we get on our daughters the most. You better not come back home pregnant. You better not do this. You better not do that. But when do we tell our boys that they're precious as well, and that your seed should not be spread all over the place. You shouldn't be running around here planting seed and all these different women and have children all over the place. Or to be a family under one roof, not making babies all over the place. When do we tell our boys this? But it seems that the boys get told, sow your wild oats, get as many girls as you want, you know, get some notches on your belt. That's how they say it, notches on your belt. Is that how they say it? I'm like, what is that? We take this stuff for a joke and a game. Our bodies are precious temples, boys and girls. And this stuff needs to be established young so that people can grow up and have better bonds and have respect for the opposite sex, because we don't even respect one another. We don't respect ourselves. And that's why it spills over into our relationships with other people. But listen, brothers, I hope you are considering what I'm saying. Talk to your boys. Let them know if you're going to call your son a prince and call him a king, then he need to fit the bill. If you're going to call our daughters queens and little princesses, then they need to fit the bill. You can't be doing anything and everything that you want to do. You have to have some decorum about yourself, some pride in yourself, some respect for other people. So this is just my little story, y'all, and I have so many more stories to share, but I'm hoping that I reach somebody that your mind will open up so that you would think in a more righteous way. We're too low as a people. We're too low, and I really am sickened by it, seeing the things that people are doing in their videos for attention. And guess what? It's not the men, it's the women. I don't know what happened to them in their lifetime. I don't know them personally, and I understand people being abused and going through stuff and having a low self-esteem, but it doesn't make it right. And they have men in their lives, brothers, uncles, fathers, grandfathers, whomever. I don't know what their relationships are with them, but if you love your daughters and family members, females that you see doing things that are just, stop them, talk to them, say something to them. Don't allow that. Don't allow people to view them as a whore. Tell them they're better than that. They need to step their game up and do better. Our relationships with one another is crazy. I can't imagine doing stuff like that, knowing that my brother, my cousins, my uncle, anybody in my family could possibly see me in that light. I don't want them to see that. That's so tacky. And it's sad because something is wrong. And then a lot of them are so proud. Don't tell me what to do. It's my body. You know, the attitude that comes with it. You can speak, baby. What you want me to do?
The ultimate point is that they raised like that.
They're raised like that. That's true. That's true. It's true. A lot of mothers have boyfriends and they see them in and out of the house, and a lot of these boyfriends are molesting and hurting. Not just women, not little girls, but boys as well. So you're right. We have so many different households with so many different tragic things going on in them. And that's the whole point of me making this video, so we can point these things out and not be a part of the problem, but a part of the solution. That was a good point, baby. Thank you.